We got Teresa back there at Jackson. She's in charge of ELA, and she helps keep me in line. And then none of this happens without Megan Veldhuizen. She makes the whole thing work. You got signed in online instead of on paper, which was very easy. Everything now is already done. When you're done today, you can get online and print out your own, what's it called, your own certificate. This whole thing is just ridiculous how good it is. And again, that's because I didn't do any of it. Megan did it. So Teresa and I have a good idea, and Megan says, oh, okay, I can do that, and then it's all taken care of. So we appreciate that about her. And then at the back of the room, you got Jason DeBoard and Eldwin. I think he said they call him Tank, and I haven't quite figured out why. But anyway, they call him Tank. And then Chris Webb. And those guys are from the tech department to make sure that we have all the technology and Wi-Fi access that we need today. And then finally, we have Mrs. Scamahorn, who is... Okay. Anyway, I just probably got fired. So anyway, but we are glad you're here. We got a lot of stuff going on today. This first session, the opening session, has Deb Atchison. Deb is a trainer for Google. She is connected to a number of companies, but we have contracted with her through Dell. As you know, Lawton Public Schools has purchased 2,000 Chromebooks this year and implemented those across our district. We have one school that started at Tomlinson that is a Google school. They've done that for a few years, and now we've got Google and Google Classroom across our district that we're piloting in a number of our schools. So that's part of why she's here. So we just wanted to have an opportunity to present that, and we appreciate her being here. So that's where we're going to start. So Deb Atchison.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? All right. Well, I'm excited to be here. This is my third time to be in Lawton, and so I see a few familiar faces and a lot of new faces to me. But let me just start by saying I'm so impressed that you are here early on a Saturday morning on your own. Nobody made you come. So that's pretty impressive. And that's the best group of people to present to, because you're not sitting here going, oh, when this is going to be over. You might still do that, but at least nobody made you come, right? So I'm very excited to be here with you today. All my information is on the screen. Feel free to take pictures of that. You can tweet out anything that you want. Tag me in it if you want. Or after this, if you have questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. I've done that for quite a few of the tech specialists that I did some Google training with when they have needed a few things. So I'll give you a second to take a picture of that. And also the link, tiny.cc/Deb's Keynote, if you want to follow along or if you want to go back to that later, you are welcome to that. And I'll put it back up again at the end. But I am from education. I've been in education quite a while. I won't tell you how long because I hope I look younger than I really am. I don't know, though. But my biggest, most exciting job ever was I actually worked for the donkey. So Eddie Murphy plays a donkey in Shrek, and I was actually the personal homeschool teacher to his 5 children, for 3.5 years. So that's a pretty cool job. I did live in Beverly Hills at the time, just on the other side of the hill. I thought, ooh, I'm going to go get an apartment in 90210. Yeah, no, that did not happen. They paid me well, but not that well. But I like this picture that I snagged off the internet, and the only reason why I can put it up here and not break confidentiality is because it's already online. But I like what it says at the top. Nicole Murphy said, I admire that my girls are beautiful, smart, and educated, and not just pretty faces. And so when the girls posted that on Facebook, I'm like, yeah, I had a little bit to do with that. So I was pretty excited about that. Josh Shipp says that every child is just one caring adult away from us being a success story. And my guess is that you, because of what I already know about you showing up here on a Saturday, you are that caring adult probably for a lot of the kids in your classes. And I want to tell you about one caring adult that helped make me who I am, and that's my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Cuban. You see her there on the right. She passed away, unfortunately, just a few years ago, but one of my absolute favorite teachers I had in 5th grade. And you can't see real well, but the girl in the middle, that's me in 5th grade. And I'm like, yeah. Had that little cowlick thing going on there. But anyway, Miss Cuban was awesome. She gave me all of her old teaching stuff that she didn't want. And so all summer long, I made all my neighborhood friends play school with me, because she gave me a teacher's edition book and a student edition book. So when they were wrong, I told them they were wrong, because I had the answers. So anyway, I just loved her. Sometimes the stuffed animals, they were a little bit better students than the neighborhood kids, but still had a blast. And Miss Cuban traveled all over the world, and I was so impressed. And, I had barely gone outside of Central Texas when I was in 5th grade, and I just thought, wow, she gets to travel everywhere. Teachers must make a lot of money. And I said, Miss Cuban, I love you. Tell us those stories, because I don't think I'll ever be able to go to those places. And she said, oh, yes, you will. She knew I wanted to be a teacher. And she said, when you teach, you have time off in the summer. She didn't tell me you go to PD in the summer and all those other things. But she said, you have time, so you just stick to your goals, get a good education, become a teacher, then you can travel around and have great stories like me. And so I thought, wow, maybe it is possible for someone in Temple, Texas, to go outside of this state even. And so I did. I actually got to travel a lot as an adult. The kids you see here on the screen are all kids in Ukraine. 3 months to the day after I got married, my husband and I moved to Ukraine and moved in as house parents for 11, 15 to 21-year-old teens who spoke Russian, and I spoke English. Like, wow. It was a crazy time, but it was an awesome time. And I've traveled. I've been able to do mission work and present at conferences all over the world. And part of that is because Miss Cuban said, you can do it. And I know you guys are encouraging your kids as well. So one of the things I want to talk about today are what are some of the tools that we can use to make the world a smaller place. Obviously we can't take our kids to Ukraine, or we can't take our class to another state. Sometimes we don't even have funding to take our kids somewhere in the city, right? But there are a lot of technology tools that allow us to take our kids anywhere in the world. And the world is getting smaller and smaller and smaller all the time because of the use of technology. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share some tools with you that will help you take your kids all kinds of great places. Okay? Does that sound like a good idea? All right. So the first tool I'm going to share with you, I'm sure you have used or heard of before, translate.google.com. And really any of your Google tools are not any, almost all of them, like 99% of any Google tool. If you want to get to them online, you type in the name of the tool, .google.com. So translate.google.com is going to get us to that, or maps.google.com, or drive.google.com. Okay. But translate.google.com, you've seen it, probably used it. You type in text, it translates it to a million different languages. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, there we go. So there's also an augmented reality app that was called Word Lens. And so it was out quite a while ago, and you could use it and you could scan text on a page and it would automatically translate it. Well, when Google came out with Google Glass, they said, we want that app on Google Glass. So they used Word Lens in Google Glass, and so the teacher you see on the screen has my Google Glass on. Yes, I was one of those crazy people that paid way too much money to be a part of the Pioneer program. Anyone else that crazy in here? I thought I saw some heads going like, yeah, I did that too. It took a while for me to convince my husband that that was a wise thing, and then now we don't really use glass anymore, so He doesn't listen to me much anymore. But nonetheless, it was awesome to have Google Glass on because I could just look at something and I could say, Google, translate this, and it would translate that text to whatever language I chose. So if I wanted to know how to say we have high expectations in Russian, I could say, translate this, look at it, and it would translate. So it's pretty impressive. And so, yeah, I actually screenshotted that when Google Glass tweeted directly to me. I'm like, ooh, I'm making the big times. Who knows? There's probably like some teenager behind the scenes just tweeting out. But I thought it was pretty cool. So eventually, Google bought out WordLens, and it's now the app called Google Translate. So all of you can put this on your phone or on, it could be on a tablet, it could be Android, it could be iOS, and you two then now have this feature within your phone. So there's lots of things we can do with Google Translate. We can scan text and have it translate right on our screen. We can have a conversation back and forth. So you see there's three icons. They're the little camera icon, the microphone, and then the squiggly line. So the microphone, I can tap that, and you and I could have a conversation back and forth in two different languages, and it's going to translate for us. Pretty crazy. It'll translate on the screen and then speak it out. I don't know about you guys, but in Texas we have a lot of students that don't speak English. That's not their first language. And so we use this a lot in the offices when parents come in, and we can use Google Translate to kind of help understand what's going on. And then the last line is a squiggly line, so they can write out text and it will translate. Well, I present at a lot of places, I told you. A year ago, last January, so a year and a couple months ago, I was presenting at FETC, which is the conference in Florida. And I was presenting on augmented reality, and my favorite augmented reality app is Google Translate by far. And so I started the session with that, and there was a gentleman in the group from Canada, and he was just blown away. He's like, that is so cool. I didn't even know that existed. I'm not sure if he even knew the web version existed. But he took this back to his school in Canada, and then I met up with him again in February at the Texas conference, and he said, you're never going to believe this. We put Google Translate on some tablets, old tablets we had in the school that people weren't using, and we have all these refugees that have come into our city in Canada, and so we're using Google Translate on those tablets. And he said, and Google is sending a TV crew to come to do a story about our school, all because I learned about this great tool from you. And so, of course, my head got a little bit big. I thought, wow, that's cool. I did something pretty neat. But really, it doesn't matter if I introduce them to this tool or not. What matters is that they are using this to welcome strangers into their schools. So I'm going to show you the video that Google created about their use of Google Translate.
أنا ماشي على المي.
أنا أكيد جيت من سوريا من محافظة درعا. طلعت أنا وزوجتي وولادي كان الوضع شوي خطير بسوريا وكان الوضع مش آمن. صراحة أثناء دراستي ما عرفت شيء عن كندا.
After the village that they lived close to was bombed, Imad and Razan packed all their things in a taxi and they fled. When they arrived, they spoke no English.
The children, they've had some very painful experiences. They want to overcome that initial fear that they won't know how to communicate because they want to fit in.
You're new and this is a totally new place and trying to figure things out. There's a lot of shyness and apprehension. The biggest thing that we run into when students come from another country is they're going to struggle because they don't have the language background.
Hamoudi, what do you like to learn in school?
ماذا تريد أن تتعلم في المدرسة؟
Write.
You like to write?
Yeah.
Arabic goes the other direction. So using Google Translate has helped because it actually puts it the other direction for them.
With the language development, the biggest change is their confidence level.
Come in bed.
Now, when they can put a sentence together, they're very proud.
Hey, my name.
They've gotten more comfortable, but it's a work in progress.
مش كل إشي عم بيفهموه مش كل إشي بس هم مبسوطين.
What's your favorite snack?
ما هي وجبة خفيفة المفضلة لديك؟
Pizza.
Pizza, that's a good snack.
Okay, I don't know about you, but that's pretty impressive to me. And Google Translate by no means is perfect. Sometimes not even close. Sometimes you may have to say something again, and it's usually when I'm demoing it that it says something crazy. But you can understand so much more with it now than you can without that tool. And I really wish I would have had that when I lived in Ukraine. I might not have gotten on the wrong bus so many times, or I might have understood when they were yelling at me at the grocery store or why they were yelling at me. But anyway, great tool. All right, so what I want to encourage you to do, and really, you guys are the group I don't have to encourage to do this. All the folks that are still at home in bed are the ones that need to hear. Just jump in, okay, because you guys are jumping in. So a lot of times teachers don't want to use a new technology tool if they don't understand it fully. Because we're used to being the expert in the classroom. We're used to being that person in charge. But I want to encourage you to just jump in, push buttons, swipe across your iPads, try things out. And don't be afraid to let the kids help you as well. In fact, usually if there's one little kid that's a little stubborn or a little booger bear, usually if you can get him interested in the technology or let him be your expert, then that will help a little bit even with discipline, right? So don't feel like you have to be the tech expert. You're always going to be the content expert. So let the kids help you and teach you a little bit as well. All right, so these are my boys, and John is here with me today. He's my photographer and my heavy helping with all the green screen equipment. And we adopted these guys when they were 10 and a half from Ukraine. And they're so cute there. I just don't know. John's like, Mom, be quiet. He knows that this is in the presentation. And but anyway, the other one would be up here just telling you all about his life. But John is a little bit more reserved than that. But he's why I brought him with me today. And the hyper one is still at home. But I love these guys very much, and they had never seen technology, really, before we got them. In fact, John told me one time, Mom, do you remember that first night we were in the apartment in Ukraine, and you pulled out your computer and you went to Disney.com, and I did not know even what to think. I was blown away. And now he is creating digital graphics, he's making videos, he's doing photography, he's doing a lot of amazing things. But sometimes in his school, they don't always let him use those tools to show his knowledge. But he had a teacher at the beginning of the year that says, I want you to tell me about your life. And it's not your typical timeline or your typical, I was born on this day, and the verbal presentations or PowerPoints that they give. So he got to do anything he wanted to do. So he created a video. And I'm just going to show you the beginning of the video that he created.
I was originally born in Ukraine on June 3rd, 1999, in the city of Zaporozhye. When I was 9, I was sent to an orphanage because my parents couldn't take care of me. It was a rough time period for me. I did not care about school nor my future because I didn't think I'll have one. One early Friday morning, I was woken up by a nurse and asked if she could take my temperature. So I said yes. After a couple of minutes, she looked at the thermometer and said I had to go to the hospital, and so did the other kids. And that was the time I met my new American family.
I don't know, I tear up every time I see that, especially with him sitting over there. Now I can't look that way. I'm just going to look this way and talk to you guys. Sorry. John and I have talked about many, many things. We talked about his life in the orphanage. We talked about the trauma that he went through as a young child that no one should ever have to go through. We talked about his fabulous grandmother that we all love so much. But I never heard him say, I didn't care about my future because I didn't think I would have one until I saw that video. So kids are going to express themselves in ways that we can't get them to express themselves through standing up and delivering a presentation when you let them choose the tools that they want to use to talk about their life. So I would encourage you to do that. Let them use what speaks to them, because you're going to hear so much more about them when you give them that opportunity. All right, so moving on from that, many of you I know from talking with Chris and talking with Megan use Skype and have done mystery Skypes. Now that you guys are Google District, you could do the same thing with Google Hangouts. So what you see on the screen, they used to have Google On Air, and that changed to YouTube Live, but it's all basically the same Hangout family. So you can use a Hangout, and you see on the screen there's two different classes that are meeting together via video conferencing. Okay, so your kids don't have access to Hangouts here in Lawton, but your teachers do. So you guys could schedule mystery Hangouts with different classes from around the world. And there's lots of websites that will help you put those in contact with each other, or I can help you also. But then you can have conversations back and forth. And you're going to see an example here in the next few slides about a mystery Skype and kind of how that works. So Google Hangouts, mystery Hangout, Google Skype, mystery Skype, same type of thing, just a different tool. So many of you have used Skype. I'm sure this is the boys' grandma and their cousin, so that's Babushka.
Скажи еще раз, что это?
And Maxime. So that was one of our first Skype conversations where we got to see them, and it had probably been about 18 months since we had seen Grandma in person. But being able to see her face to face was incredible. Grandma no longer has a computer with that capability because she has moved. So we don't get to see her on video, but we do still call her using Skype. I can't wait till she gets a computer, because there's a crazy new feature within Skype called Skype Translate. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, it's kind of hard to see, but in the blue bubble, I had typed something to my husband in Russian, and when he saw it in the white bubble on his screen, he saw it in English. When he types in English, because I set my language as Russian in Skype, then I see whatever he typed shows up in Russian. And this is available in like 50-plus languages. Okay, so whatever languages, if you have family or classes that you communicate with abroad, more than likely this text feature is there. But it has an amazing video call feature. So if you look on the right side of the screen, when you do a voice or a video call, it will translate in those languages. John, we need to check that out next time, because it says a voice and video call. So we need to try it with the voice. But anyway, I know why we don't, because it's not in Russian yet. Sorry. So those 9 languages, when you have a voice or a video call with someone else and you set your native language, you will hear in your earpiece or from your computer the translated version of that text. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in a mystery Skype. So mystery Skype is one class will ask questions to try and guess where the other class is located. So that's what you're going to see here and see that translation feature.
Hi, can you guess where I live?
¿Te encuentras en América del Norte?
Yes. Do you live in Central Mexico?
Sí. ¿Te encuentras en Estados Unidos de América?
Yes. Do you live in a capital city?
Sí. ¿Estás cerca de Seattle?
You're very close to Seattle. Are you in Mexico City?
Sí. ¿Estás en Tacoma?
Yes. Very good guess.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Do you like living in Mexico City?
¿Te gusta vivir en la Ciudad de México?
Aquí está muy lindo.
Here is very nice.
What do you do for fun?
¿Qué haces para divertirte?
Voy a las playas de México.
I'm going to the beaches of Mexico.
I like to swim.
Me gusta nadar.
A mí también.
Me too.
Where in the world do you wish to travel?
¿A dónde en el mundo te gustaría viajar?
A Rusia.
To Russia.
¿Y tú?
And you?
Everywhere.
Sería increíble algún día verte en México.
It would be amazing to see you someday in Mexico.
I would really like to visit you sometime.
Me gustaría mucho visitarte algún día.
A mí también.
Me too.
Pretty crazy, right? Whew. Who would have thought that kind of technology is available? So it doesn't matter. Language is no longer a barrier anymore with these tools that we have. It's pretty awesome. I love to see how excited the kids are because they just get so excited when they figure out where the other person is from or they're collaborating and talking back and forth. The only mystery Skypes I've been a part of are English speaking to English speaking. I would love to be able to be a part of one that is using this feature to talk to another country. So when you guys do that, let me know. I want to Skype in with you because I think it's pretty cool. All right, so Google Expeditions is the next thing that we're going to talk about. Google Expeditions is going to allow you to take your kids on field trips or expeditions without ever having to leave your classroom. So a lot of you have iPads. I know you're also a district that will, if the teacher allows, let them use their phones. So back in August, Expeditions went from being Android only to iOS also. So you can put it on your smartphones, and most of your kids have them in their pocket, so we might as well use them for good, right? Or a lot of you have iPads, so I'm going to demonstrate for you Google Expeditions, but I will tell you I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not nervous about Expeditions because it always works flawlessly. But when I was setting up the demo earlier, it worked, and then it didn't work, and then it worked. So I'm hoping it works again. So we'll just see. If not, there's a backup plan in my mind, but we're going to try it. So I'm going to need 2 volunteers. Any brave volunteers? I do have a little prize. It's not a big prize. There's 1, 2. All right, perfect. So while they're coming up, I'm going to hopefully project these devices to the screen. There's one phone. All right, so somebody can be the student. This is the student device. There we go. And so you guys should be seeing a phone up there. And now I'm going to try and mirror the teacher device. Oh, one phone went away. The other phone stayed. We'll see what happens. All right, so you're the teacher device. So what I want you to do is to scroll down, and you're going to find any of these that have a check, like this one, or ones that you can go into. But as he's scrolling down, we're going to see if we can get this guy back on. It says it is. I want you to see both teacher and student. So let's see. You saw 2 phones at one point in time, right? Okay. So, I told you guys don't be afraid, just jump in. So I'm trying to demo that for you two. Be brave, and if it doesn't work, we'll just... It doesn't appear. Like it's going to show both phones. Is it frozen on that one too? Oh, and it's still not? Okay. Oh, yeah, there it goes. It's scrolling now for you. Okay, it looks like I'm going to be able to show you one phone, but we're still going to join, and then you can just kind of walk around and show folks, if that's okay with you. All right, so what you're seeing on the screen is the guides version. Oh, 2 phones, yay. Okay, cross a finger, stand on one foot, whatever, that it stays that way. So the phone on the left is the teacher's phone, so he can scroll through and find different expeditions he wants to go to. The Galapagos, or did you click on one? Okay, here, let's see. So there we go. Now you're going to hit play. So So he clicked on the device, and now he's hit play. And on the student device, it says, your teacher has started an expedition. Do you want to join? And so she's joined the expedition, and it's telling you to put it in cardboard, but we're just going to not. Okay, click on join right there. So the student's going to join the expedition. Just turn your phone, or your phone is up. We don't want to put it in Google Cardboard because you guys are going to be using iPads. Okay. We'll just leave it that way. Okay. So if you are using phones and you have the Google Cardboard viewers, then they could put it in there and they're seeing it more in a virtual reality view, right? Okay. Now, as you scroll down, tell me, teacher, your name? Lou? Okay. So, Lou, if you scroll down on the text that's there in the orange box, so this bit of text is telling him information about what the kids are seeing. And as he scrolls down, there'll be a place where it'll have a little circle and a different area of that expedition. And when he taps on it, the teacher, so like coral reefs, when he taps on that, the students see an arrow. So this student is seeing an arrow that says this way, turn this way, and as the student turns, they get to the area that the teacher is talking about. Okay? So then when he scrolls down and clicks on another area, it's going to direct the student to that area. So all of the content is there for you as a teacher, but you do not have to read from that. You can have your own content. You can say, this right here is an angelfish, or whatever you want to talk about. Okay. Now, Lou, if you'll swipe over to the right, there'll be other sections of that expedition that you would be able to see. And you would just click on play. And so now it's taken us to Klein Bonaire, and as he scrolls down, he can click on different places. Now, on the teacher's screen, you'll notice it was right here, but now she's moved. There's little smiley faces. And every one of your kids that's connected to the computer, you'll see their little smiley face. So if all of us are over in this area and little Joe is still looking in this area, I can redirect him. I'm like, okay, whose smiley face is this? Come back to where the group is. This is what we're talking about. Okay. Now, Lou, if you'll hit the pause button on your screen, so you see the pause. He hit pause. It should on the student's screen. I think, let's see, did it didn't pause on hers, or if it did, it's frozen. Is this the one we're on? It says pause by teacher. Oh, yes, there. It just took a little while to catch up. So pause by teacher. So when your kids are spinning around in their chairs and looking all kind of silly, and you know they're not paying attention because they're just too enamored with the technology, then you can pause it, and they have nothing else to look at. Okay. So then when he's ready to play again, he can hit the play button, and now we're all back into the expedition after we've centered our kids back on the topic. Okay. Now, if in the top left-hand corner you click the X, it'll let you come out of that expedition, and you could go into a different expedition. And the student is taken out of that expedition as well. Okay. And so there's a ton of different places that you can take your kids. As you can see, he's scrolling through a lot. I will say I did notice one when I was looking through last night. Hit cancel on that and just tap in the middle. So there you go. And now hit play. So he's going to show you the human anatomy respiratory system. And so now on the student's phone, she can hit join. And now she's seeing the respiratory system very differently than what we would see in a flat printed book. Okay, so it's pretty nice. I will say, I noticed last night when I was looking through all of the different options that there was one about a lesbian and gay museum. Now, I would be a little bit freaked out if I were in front of a class and that popped up. So if on the teacher's machine, if you go ahead and exit out of that expedition, and then go ahead and leave. Over on the left, there should be 3 lines, I think. And that takes you to your settings, and he can turn on download only. And it's only going to show those expeditions that he's downloaded to this device. So if there's something that I don't want, maybe I'm doing this to elementary kids and I don't want them to see Holocaust Museum or the lesbian and gay thing or whatever might be there that might be high school appropriate, then I'm only going to see those lessons I've downloaded onto my device. Okay? So as a teacher, you download an Expedition. The kids don't have to download anything but the Expedition app. And then you play it and they follow along. All right, sound okay? All right, so thank you guys very much. And I have, here's your lovely mug and stylus. Woohoo! See, and you thought there were no giveaways. All right, so let me get these devices off of AirPlay now. So how many of you think that you might actually use that with your students? Yes? Yay, good. All right, so the thing to know is you all need to be on the same Wi-Fi with your devices, okay? And the other thing you need to know is before you go into an Expedition, you'll tap on it to download it to your device. And that's it. And then you hit play. So here's an example. I did a Keynote for Van ISD, which is a little bitty school in Texas, and I showed them Expeditions, and this is their class. This was my backup if the demo didn't work. So I'll go ahead and show you.
Oh wait, it looks like one of those cars. Stop it. It looks like one of those cars with the little thing and the handles. It does.
So you can tell they're very excited, right? And they're all over the place. And they just have stationary chairs. Your kids might have rolly chairs. Who knows? So the first time you do this, it's going to be loud. They're going to be excited. They're going to be rowdy. Hopefully they don't fall over backwards. You stand a less chance of that with the iPads because they see everything peripheral. But when you put them in those cardboard viewers, you could, have some issues if they're walking around the room. All right, so Google has also partnered with a company called zSpace to take Expeditions one step further. So Expeditions allows us to go and allows us to see. zSpace allows us to touch and feel. So let me show you this quickly. So I could take my kids into the human anatomy that you guys saw that Lou led us through, right? And then I could go on to zSpace and I could have hands-on application with that. So this is what that looks like.
You can't see inside of them when you see them in real life.
And you will feel
So
that
a little bit
heartbeat.
about what we're doing with the zSpace pilot. We started piloting initially with 5th graders for heart dissection and to help extend their learning about anatomy.
The first time that they sat down and started actually interacting on the systems, there was a constant conversation happening between them. They were excited, they were sharing, they were looking on each other's systems, and by the time they left, they were talking about how excited they were to learn about the heart, which was going to be the concept that they were going to be learning on it.
So we have some teachers that are now exploring using zSpace with national monuments in social science. We have teachers using it as a design tool.
Together with the LASD team, we're helping to realize the potential of zSpace in the classroom and craft the experience in a way that benefits their learning. It's really exciting to see where it's going to go.
All right, so I have a zSpace at home because I also do some training for them, and John can attest. My husband freaks out. He can't do it. He can't feel the heartbeat in the stylus. He drops it every time because, and he's younger than me. I don't know what his problem is. But anyway, it's a pretty awesome tool to be able to have hands on and just think you can dissect a frog without all that stinky smell. Oh, it's crazy, right? It's so awesome. It's really crazy. So maybe next time I come, I'll bring that and set it up and do a little demo. But it's pretty awesome. I will say, though, that is one of the tools that's in this presentation that is not free, whereas most everything else I'm showing you is all free. Okay, of course. I don't know. They don't tell me how much it is so that I don't get in trouble. So my guess is significant, but it's pretty awesome. Okay. right, so maybe you're thinking, okay, I love this stuff. I love these tools. I want to take my kids on expeditions. I want to connect with the school in Mexico or Asia or wherever and do a mystery Skype. So how do I go about doing that? How do I make those connections? So the next thing I'm going to share with you is a way that you can make connections with not just your other folks in your area, but your state and across the world. Okay? So what if you want to do these things with your kids? Well, those are two little words, but they could really have a huge impact if you allow them to push you outside your comfort zone, to stretch you in ways that you haven't been stretched before. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So if you want your kids to learn and share, and obviously we know you want to learn and share because you're here today, you might want your students doing that same thing. You might want them presenting to, you've heard the term authentic audience, and usually in schools that means the class next door, or we might invite the principal in. But I'm going to share you a way that you can give them a truly global audience to present to. So this is my buddy. I call her my partner in crime. Her name is Jamie Donnelly. You may know her. She does AR, VR, and EDU, and she is all over the place on Twitter. But I used to be her boss when we were both in the same district. And she came to me one day and she said, you know what, I want to go to another ed camp. And I know you guys have had ed camps here, right? And I know Oklahoma Ed does a lot of ed camp stuff. And she said, I want to do one, and there's not another one coming up for like another 9 months. Can we have our own? And I'm like, well, sure, yeah, let's just have our own ed camp. And, just kind of flippantly said that. Little did I know, she was serious. And so we got to talking about it more, and I had just come back from Europe. I had presented at the Central Eastern European Schools Association Conference in their unconference, which is like an ed camp. And so I said, hey, why don't we get those teachers to collaborate with us? So from those two questions, what if we did our own ed camp, and what if we had other teachers from around the world join us? Came Ed Camp Global. Has anyone heard of that? No. One person, two people, oh yes, Chris, I know. You've participated, I think, right, Chris? Yeah. So, well, now you know, now there's no excuses. So, we recently had a name change. So instead of being Ed Camp Global, we are now Ed Change Global, but it's the same thing. The website is there, and I'll put it back up again as well, also. But we wanted a place for teachers to learn and to share what they were doing. So EdCamp Global is a 24-hour, all completely online. You can do it from home in your PJs. You don't even have to get up and brush your hair if you don't want to. And you can participate in as few or as many sessions as you want to. Well, this started coming about, and I thought, oh, man, this is going to happen. Because she asked me about this on a Friday, and we brainstormed, and we thought all these great ideas. Well, she came back Monday with a website, a registration form, all kinds of crazy stuff, a logo, and I'm like, oh, this chick's serious. So then I start freaking out as her supervisor. Oh, my goodness, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. We need an LMS. What vendor can I call to let us use their LMS? And how are we going to store all these sessions? And I was getting crazy. And she said, Deb, chill out. We're that good of friends, she could tell me chill out as her boss, right? And she said, why don't we just use the tools teachers are already using? I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. So all these tools you see on the screen, Twitter, which was huge for us at the time, Twitter chats, Voxer, Periscope, Google Hangouts, Google Apps, all kinds of things. We use those tools instead of paying for or seeking out a vendor. And we thought, we'll be lucky if we have teachers sign up. And they just started signing up and signing up and signing up. And about that time, Periscope had come out. And so that's one of the tools we use to do our challenges. So we do give away lots of prizes, and better than the mug and the stylus that you receive. So you might think about that for next time. But Periscope had just come out, so we used that to broadcast, kind of like Facebook Live. So you guys can know you can go on Facebook Live and just video stream whatever. And so since I showed John's video, I need to show Dimitri, his twin brother. They don't always like to know, people know they're twins, but I had agreed to keynote a conference in Washington back in October, and I had agreed to that about 6 months prior. Little did I know that Dimitri was going to become drum major, the very first ever drum major at his teeny tiny school, and his first performance was the night before my keynote. And I just like, it broke my heart because he looked at me and he said, Mom, I'm trying out for drum major as your Mother's Day present. I go, oh, no pressure. And I was the very first female drum major my college ever had. So he said, Mom, wouldn't it be cool if I was the first drum major my school ever had? I said, yes, that would be so cool. I never thought he would make it. Don't tell him that, John. But he did. He made head drum major. And so how in the world do you miss the biggest performance of his junior year in school, right? So John and my husband Facebook Lived and Periscoped it, because even though I really wanted to be there, I also think it's important to show my kids that you follow through with your commitments. So I sat in my hotel room watching him direct the band with tears just running down my face. But Periscope was one of those tools. And we thought, oh, we would love to have lots of people come. And they did. 39 countries participated in this EdCamp Global. And I will tell you, we advertised completely on social media. So we went to the Ookla Ed Twitter chats. Everything we did pretty much was social media, with most of it being Twitter. And that's how we got people from 39 countries. We thought at one point in time, if we had 100 people, man, we would be rocking and rolling. Then it got up to almost 500, and we're like, we better shut this thing down. There's a lot of people. And we're like, why would we shut it down? It's online. It's tools. We had 1,800 teachers, the very first EdCamp Global. And that was advertising starting at the end of March, and we had it at the end of July. So 1,800 teachers, 149 people like yourself facilitated sessions, 37 vendors that gave away a ton of prizes, and all of this is free. Just like you guys showed up here today and you didn't have to pay money to come. You didn't get paid either, but same thing with EdCamp Global. You don't pay money to go. You don't get paid money to sit through it, but you get lots of awesome learning. So it was pretty impressive. And then not even 24 hours went by and Jamie said, what if? And I thought, oh no, here we go again. This girl is crazy. I always know it's going to be good, but it's going to require a lot of work. And she said, what if we did this with our students? And so we did. We did EdCamp Global Classrooms with our kids. So kids could sign up as classes, so the teacher would sign up, the students would participate, the same type of thing. And here's some screenshots from the students participating. We had all the way from a young preschool kid that you see, or not preschool, probably 4 years old, at the bottom, who, with the help of her mom, talked about her little Sphero robots, all the way up to high school classes that presented. Kids connecting. We had one class that played a Kahoot game with 120 kids from about 9 different countries, all at the same time. So pretty crazy, amazing stuff. The kids didn't want it to end. And headquarters has been held at my house since the first event, and my kids never want to go to sleep. They always want to be a part of it. And they have presented as well at Camp Global Classrooms. So we had 60 countries of students participating in EdCamp Global Classrooms. So that's 1,200 classrooms registered, which if we say 25 kids per class, which I know high school teachers are going, yeah, that would be nice. Maybe some elementary teachers, you're thinking that too. It was well over 30,000 students and teachers that participated in this free online 24-hour event. We had 128 sessions scattered over the 24-hour period, and we gave away a ton of prizes. And for this event, we gave away a lot of classroom subscriptions to online tools, and even one prize was a full school subscription. So pretty cool stuff. Steve Morrison is one of our organizers, and he's from Canada, and these are some pictures from his classrooms. He had his class spend the night at the school. They had to have a mandatory 4-hour sleeping time, so they have sleeping quarters. They had a female chaperone, and he was the male chaperone, and his kids delivered sessions every hour throughout the full 24 hours. And I was blown away. And if that's not impressive enough, their presentations were in 9 different languages. Yeah, like I speak one and I know some Russian words and bad words in Spanish. But they delivered these sessions that full 24 hours. In fact, my boys got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, Texas time, so that they could watch the child from his class that was presenting in Russian. And then they stayed up and went to school, and they probably didn't go to bed till 11 the night before because they wanted to be so much a part of it. But what I really like is the quote on the right that he said it was the best teaching day, and by day he means 24 hours, of his entire career. I think that's pretty impressive. That to me speaks volumes. And I was thinking, well, what would be my most impressive day of my teaching career? And I can't really even come up with one that even rivals this at all. So I thought it was pretty impressive. So again, here's the website. It's not red anymore. It looks a little bit different. We'll probably have the domain name by the end of the summer because we have now done 4 events. So we've done 2 EdCamp or EdChange now global for teachers, staff development. We usually do that at the end of July. And we just finished up our second EdChange Global Classrooms, which we usually do sometime January, February. This past one was the end of February. So we just wrapped that one up. That one, we went a total different route, and we used a platform called Keynote, which is fairly new. But we did all of our student event in that one platform. Because before, when you start trending on social media, which we always trend within hours of even starting the event, people jump on and try to use the fact that you're trending as a way to promote their whatever propaganda. So we wanted to keep our kids totally separate from all of that. So we used a platform called Keynote, which we all logged into, and it was all a secure environment. So it worked really well. But none of this could have happened without a team of volunteers who we all donate our time. None of us get paid for this by any means. And Jen Williams, you guys, not Jen Williams. Who is from Shelley? No, Fran, no. Erin, thank you. You know what I was doing. Erin is from Oklahoma. And so she's our Okla Ed representative on the team. And so all of these great people help us pull off this event. So if you're really gung-ho, I definitely want you to join us. But you could also think about being on the organizing team if you're crazy and have nothing else to do. Yeah, right. So the hashtag for this coming summer is ECG for EdChange Global 2017. And it will be at the very end of July, but right before we all go back to school. So feel free to follow that on Twitter, sign up on the website, register, join us. I think it's going to be an awesome event. I'm going to wait for you guys to finish taking your pictures. I don't want to mess them up. So this past February 28th to March 1st was EdChange Global Classrooms. Coming up in July will be EdCamp Global. Now I want to tell you, as I start to wrap up here, a few more minutes left, not this past March, the previous one, I was in Turkey presenting at that same CISA conference, and this was the view from our window. And I don't know if you remember that time zone, but it was a little kind of scary. But at the conference, I met this lady, Vickie Hannah Lane. She is blind, and she traveled from America to Turkey by herself to present at this conference. And I was very blown away and impressed by her, and she talked a lot about her goals is to create world peace. And I'm telling her about EdCamp Global and EdCamp Global Classrooms and how she should be a part of that. And she said, you know what? You guys are helping to create world peace. And I had never really thought about it before. And I thought, well, you know what? She just might be right. Because when you get to know other cultures, other climates, other people from around the world, you can't help but to have a little more empathy for them, right? I know I'm from Texas. You guys are Oklahoma. We're supposed to be rivals, right? But I met you. I like you. So there you go. So it works for our kids that same way. But I want to show you, this was part of our unconference presentation. And right after this 360 was taken, so this was a 360 in the conference room, someone came in and they said, we have to interrupt all of your sessions. I'm sorry. But there has been a bombing in the tourist part of Istanbul where we were all headed that afternoon on our outings. They said, so you're not allowed to leave the hotel? Well, you can leave, but I wouldn't advise it. So all of the afternoon activities have been canceled. So it's pretty chilling. Now, we'll say we had U.S. special agents there, so we felt very safe. I was never once afraid, but I can tell you I did not walk out of that hotel for sure. But that afternoon, we were kind of brainstorming and talking about the conference and what we wanted to do next year and what worked and what didn't. And someone said, well, the incident that happened this morning happened because of a lack of education. And I thought, you know what, that's right. And we have the power of education right here in our hands. We can hopefully make an impact in the world with the kids that we're teaching so that we could hopefully prevent that. And the quote that's on the T-shirt, and this was a T-shirt they already had there, said, education's the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And that's true. And that's probably why you got into education in the first place, because you wanted to make a difference. I know it was for me. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to change the lives of kids like Miss Cuban did for me. So what if, 2 little words, big impact, but what if you joined us next year? What if you even got even braver and you facilitated a session this coming summer? Or what if you got your kids involved and they joined us next year? That's what I'm hoping for you. And I don't know about you, but maybe you're just like Miss Congeniality here.
I really do want world peace.
So hopefully you are creating your own little world peace in your classroom, in your school, in your environment. So that's my contact information. The link on the screen will take you to this presentation that has all of the other links. So feel free to snag a picture, and I think this is my area for the rest of the day. So feel free to come back and hang out. And thank you for having me. It's been an honor to be back here with you.